Hey guys, this is a weekly forecast for March 29th through April 2nd of 2021. Okay, we'll start off with the Aussie NZD pair. This is a monthly chart. We'll start off with an overview. Alright, we had a normal double bottom right here against a weak downward trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here. So in the long term, we were long biased right up to this trend line right here, or perhaps this pivot high. However, due to this trend line being relatively strong and price is still trying to get through it, in the short term, we are neutral biased. Okay, let's go on to entries. Okay, this is a 4-hour chart. If you recall last week, we were talking about if we want price to get through that monthly trend line, we want price to grunge through it with compact price action. And for the time being, this grunging price action is taking place. And so next week, if we could ideally continue to get this grunging price action, perhaps we could see price hit our second monthly target. Now, one thing I do want to add here is, what's forming here on the 4-hour chart is this obvious pennant pattern right here. Now, I'm sure many are paying attention to the breakout on the top side or downside of this pennant. And depending on which way it breaks out, the price bias will fall to their side. However, in my opinion, the breakout of this pennant is relatively not that important. What is important is, again, is if price gives us that grunging price action to get through that monthly trendline level. So whether price falls, if it still could keep this grunging compact price action, it should be okay, so we could target that monthly second target pivot high. Okay, let's go on to the Euro USD pair. Oh, and please subscribe if you like these videos, and please push the like button. It will really help me out, guys. Thank you. Okay, the Euro USD, this is a monthly chart. We'll start off with an overview. Okay, so this trend line from this pivot to this pivot, it was broken out roughly 8 months ago. So in the medium term, we are long biased right up to this pivot high. However, in the short term, although we were short biased right up to this price level right here, that target was hit this week. Thus, in the short term, we are neutral bias. Okay, let's talk entries. Alright, this is a weekly chart. Let me run you by the current setup we're looking at. Okay, so there was a strong short trade right here. Then a weak long trade form. So as price pulled back, we're looking for short entries right back down to this pivot low as a target. And then roughly 3 weeks ago, we had another weak long trade. So again, as price pulled back, we're looking for short trades right back down to this new pivot low as a target. And that target has been hit on Friday. Now, if you're having trouble understanding this setup, how we talk about strong short trades and weak long trades, please watch my price action trading course, lessons 1 through 4. And that should give you the general idea of what we're talking about. Okay, so at this point, we're still looking at the same setup. So again, we're just going to wait for another long trade to form. Then we're going to gauge it and see how strong it is. Now, if that long trade is weaker than this short trade, well then again, we'll be looking for a pull back up, then taking it right back down to that pivot low as a new target. However, on the other hand, if the long trade is stronger than this short trade up here, well then that's in line with our medium term bias, which is long, and we could take that trade to target this pivot high. Okay, so I'll keep you updated with the midweek analysis on this one. Alright, let's go on to the USD JPY pair. Okay, this is a monthly chart. We'll start off with an overview. Ultimately, we're targeting this pivot low at 101. However, before that, we're talking about the pullback to 107, then to 109, and then down to that 101 target. So in the long term, we are short biased right down to 101. However, due to price still having a lot of momentum long, we first want to see price to have some slowing of momentum. Thus, in the short term, we are neutral bias. Alright, let's talk entries. Okay, we'll stay on this monthly chart. So this trend line from this pivot to this pivot, we want price to respect this with compact price action. Now this compact price action could be on the weekly, daily, or 4-hour chart. However, it must be on this monthly trend line level. Okay, let me take you to the 4-hour chart. Okay, this is a 4-hour chart. If you recall, last week we were talking about this price action right here not being compact enough. What I mean is the distance between these peaks was too wide. And ideally, I was explaining we wanted maybe half the distance between these peaks for it to be compact. Thus, due to this price action being weak, eventually this week, price resumed its momentum long. Now at this point, we still want to see this kind of compact price action eventually on that monthly trend line. However, there are other things we want to be looking for. So let me take you over to the weekly chart. Okay, so on this weekly chart, we're talking about a basic sign that this long momentum is waning. And that would be to have 2 red candles consecutively. Now 2 weeks ago, we did have one of those red candles. However, this week we had a green one and we need it to be consecutive. So another thing we want to be looking for is for 2 consecutive red candles to form. That's a basic sign of waning long momentum. Okay, so either way, that short setup is going to take a while to form. So let's just see how the price on this pair plays out. Alright, let's go on to the Nzdusd USD pair. Okay, this is a weekly chart. We'll start off with an overview. Since this long move right here, starting from this range right here, was solely based on momentum, in the long term, we are short bias right up to this pivot low right here. However, due to price still having a little momentum long in this move, in the short term, we are long biased right up to this pivot high. Okay, let's talk entries. Okay, this is a 4-hour chart. Let's recollect what happened last week. So the last long trade was here, and right up to this area, this price action had a lot of strength long. However, price still pushed through this pivot stop loss level. Now when there is strong strength up, however, price still pushes through in the opposing direction, that's a sign that price has a lot of opposing strength, which in this case is down. Thus, we had that very vertical fall in price. However, this does not change the fact that we are long biased right up to this pivot high in the short term. Now, some possible areas for that long entry are on the weekly chart. Alright, this is a weekly chart. Now, this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here, and this trend line from this pivot to this pivot. These are the 2 levels we're looking for to have compact price action. Now again, this could be on the daily, 4-hour, or 1-hour charts. But we want that compact price action. Just remember, the compact price action must be on these weekly trend line levels. Okay, and another thing I do want to add is that this double top right here was a fake. Now, fake double tops typically do not go as target height, which is roughly in this area. Therefore, we are expecting price not to reach these levels. Thus, there is a higher probability due to confluence that this level will be respected. And that confluence being, first of all, this trend line, and the second, the idea that fake double tops typically do not go as target height, and that target height is in this area. Okay, so let's just see if we can get that compact price action in this area. Okay, we'll go on to the pound dollar. Okay, this is a monthly chart. We'll start off with an overview. So we had a weak double bottom right here. Now, weak double bottoms typically don't go as target height. That target height being roughly in this area. So we are expecting price not to reach this area. So in the long term, we are short bias right back down to this pivot low as a target. However, in the short term, because this double bottom does add a little bit of strength long, we are long bias right up to this pivot high as a target. Okay, let's talk entries. Okay, this is a weekly chart. So try drawing these trend lines from this pivot to this pivot, and another one from this pivot to this pivot right here. Again, we just want compact price action on one of these trend lines. That could be on the daily 4-hour chart, but it must be on these weekly trendline levels. So if we get a strong trade long at one of these trendline levels, plus that compact price action that we were talking about, then perhaps we could target that short-term target at this pivot high. Okay, so that's it for this week's weekly forecast. I hope you guys have a great week, and thanks for watching, guys. Bye.